My name is Connor, and this is my tutorial on the new Duik 15 plugin for After Effects. Um, I will show you through this very simple character on how to rig a character using puppet pins and turning those puppet pins into bones and joints. So let's get started. As you can see down here, we have our layers for the character's body and the arms and the legs. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign different puppet pins to it and name it very specific things so that the auto rig can detect those very things and connect the joints accordingly. So let's get started with the right arm. We'll select the right arm, as you can see here, and we'll go up to this tool called the puppet pin tool. We'll select where we want those joints to be. Now, after we've selected those points, we want to name them accordingly. Down here we have to go into Mesh. This would let me select it. And then we go to Deform, and you will find your puppet pins here. Now this puppet pin that's selected right now would be the hand. So we will rename it specifically with which it is. Is it the left or the right? And I choose it from the character's perspective, so I'm going to call it R hand. And we go to the next one. We have to call this one the elbow, so R elbow. Or if I can actually be consistent, and you're supposed to be consistent, so I'll make that capitalized. And here we'll name this one the shoulder, so R shoulder. So now that we have that selected, we'll see why naming that is important, because we will use the tool called bones. So when we have the hand selected, or let's start with the shoulder. The shoulder selected, we select bones, select bones, select bones. Alright, it's being slow, so just bear with me. There we go. Now it is associated a null that's up here to that specific bone or puppet tool that we want to turn into a bone. Now that we have that, we'll do that to the next one, if it will let me scroll down. There we go. Now we go to elbow. We do the same thing. And if you notice, I can scroll up. There we go. If you notice, it's saving those names so that when we go to auto rig it, it will detect those proper names and will make a joint for it accordingly using their IK system. I'm sorry, I cannot talk. So now we will go to the hand and we will do the very same thing. the right arm, we will go to the left arm, which is behind the character's body. So to get to that and isolate it, you would select this button right here. Alright, now with that it's isolated, you will go back to the puppet pin. Oh, whoops. Accidentally hit it too early. Select it here. And then here. And here. And we will repeat that process by going into Mesh, Deform, and Puppet Pin. We can unselect that so we can see which one. Alright, we'll start with R, nope, L, shoulder, L, elbow, and we'll go to L, hand, perfect. Then we go to the shoulder and repeat the same process. Add a bone for the shoulder, which is up here. Select the next. Add a bone for the elbow. And then we'll add a bone for the hand. And it assigned a no according to each one. There. Now we can go to the leg, and there are specific things you are supposed to call these. So the three you are supposed to call that are foot, thigh, and knee. Just a second. Now, alright. The leg is going to go foot, knee, thigh. So we will select that. And since they're slightly behind the body, because that's how I like setting up that character, I will isolate that by pressing this. Isolate the limb. Select this. I'll go in, select thigh, knee, foot, and then deselect it if it will let me. Come on. There we go. Alright, and then we go back down to Mesh and Deform, or nope, Deform. We go to the puppet pins. I'll go down from the order, rename this, if it will let me. Rename. Now from his position, that is his right leg, so I will put R for right, and then thigh, capitalized, be consistent. Then I will go to this one and rename it to R knee. And then, nope, not that one. I'll go to this one, do R foot. Alright. And then I will assign them their bones. So select the thigh, select bones. Knee, knee, come on, knee, there we go. Bones, and then foot. Bones. And again, it has copied the names of those so that we don't have to rename them twice, which is very nice. And now we're going to do the same thing with the other leg. So we'll select that, isolate it, and select our puppet pin. Do the thigh, knee, foot, and repeat that process. Alright, just trying to get to the mesh, sorry. Mesh. Mesh, there we go. Deform. Oh. And then puppet pins. Alright, so this one is now the left thigh. This is the left knee. This is the left foot. Alright. And we can isolate that. Oh, wait, sorry. We can now assign the bones to it. So, bones. Left knee. Bones. Left foot. Bones. Alright, now we have to go to the main body right here, which I have under body and head, because it's all one body and head character, to make it simple, because you only have to put a couple of pins, because I am lazy. So we will go to the puppet pin, and with this selected, well, I should isolate it first so it doesn't grab anything else. I will select here for hips. If it will let me. Yes, there we go. For hips. Come on. Come on. There we go. For hips. Oh, not the torso. Next one will be neck and head. So now we go down to mesh. 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 Alright. We go to deform. And then we go to first one, which will be renamed hips, and you don't have to have a capital letter in front of it because there's only one. Alright, and then neck, and then head. Alright, now that we have all of those, we are ready to go up to the auto rig. Now when you select auto, well, actually, sorry, you have to assign the nulls to those. I'm sorry. So here are the nulls that you will have to do. The hips, neck, if it will let me. Oh, nope, I do not want to put the pin. I'll just have to not see it. So neck, head. Head. Alright. Now, with those bones selected, we can now zoom out and see the character. Zoom out. Now we have all these bones that are ready to be rigged. Alright. We select Auto Rig. When we select Auto Rig, it will give us 3 types of options for characters. So give me just a second. It's having some troubles. Alright, there we go. Just a second. Alright, so this type of rig is typically for characters like humans or bears or other forms of animals that don't actually have tails or are typically for that type of character. This is for characters such as birds or other animals that have tails or other complex fur, and then this is typically for animals or characters that have hooves, so something specific that has a hoof. So we want this type of character to select. Alright, so now we're going to rig the full character, but we're going to use the plant degrade. I think, I know that Duic is French, so I probably pronounced that wrong. But we will rig full character. Alright. Now, it's asking for the left leg. Alright. But it's only looking for B head for some reason. Alright, give me a second. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the arms, body layers, and we're going to separate it from the controllers. So right here we're going to select this, hold shift, not shift, sorry, we're going to hold control because we want very specific selections, control. We're going to go down and find the other one and hold control, and we're going to move them down past all of these. Alright. Now, before we hit the full character button, we want to make sure that none of these are selected. If I can scroll down, I would show you. Scroll down, okay, there we go. So none of these are selected, because if you select one, it's going to think you just want to rig that specific thing. So we want to rig the full character. So none and full character. Full character. Okay, there we go. So now that we have this open, first thing it's asking for is the left leg, which we have these, the thigh for the thigh, the knee for knee, and the L for foot. It's doing this to make sure that we properly named everything, and if we named it something different, we can go through and select it, but this just makes it faster. So we can go to the next one. There's the right leg. So the R thigh, R knee, R foot. Good. If you had a more complex character, these categories could be open to you. You can have a character with toes, and heal, but just for simple rigging, we're going to rig a very minimalistic character. So we go to the next one. Next. Okay, let's go over here. Now it's asking for the left arm, or the front leg if it was an animal. And this is where you can run into some problems, because it got some things mixed up, because you can have a character with a shoulder blade and a clavicle, and that's not what we have. So we're going to say none, and it mixed up the knee with the shoulder for some reason. So since it's the L, we're going to L shoulder. Alright, so that is fixed. And we're going to do the same with the right. So R shoulder. Very good. Alright, so now we have the head, which is a little bit more complex, because we could set up a character that has a longer neck, and we can have the neck go from one to many joints, as that's why it's set up from two, but we just have one. So we're going to have head, neck, to neck, and then hips. Now after this, it's going to ask if we want a tail, and it wants us to define the pelvis, but we don't have a tail, so we don't want it to define the pelvis or the hips. So we're going to select none and have none on this one. Now we rig the character, and it's going to assign controllers to all of these pieces. When it's done, alright. So now, as you can see, we have some bendable limbs that aren't bending as... They're bending nice, it's just the computer is not handling my recording very well. So, now that we can see these joints are handling well with the IK system, it may be annoying to you to see these red outlines for the nulls. So what you can do is you can go down here and you can select all of the nulls, and you can not lock them, but you can hide them by selecting the eye. So we can select all of the red ones. It's not allowing me to just rake across it, so select them individually. Alright, so there are all those that are hidden, and since this is very crowded, and you don't want a lot of crowding when you're animating, you can also hide these by using this tool, the hide tool, but I call it the Squidward tool because it looks like Squidward and no one can deny that. So you select Squidward and he hides. And when all of those are hidden with their appropriate symbols, hide, hide, hide. Oop. go up to this, and boom, it collapses that, and we can work with just these tools. Now, we may be finished, or we may not be, depending on what type of character you have and how you want the character to move. So, right now, this character is set up with limbs that bend in the same direction. So if you want the character to be facing this way, and the arms and legs to bend in that direction, you can have it set up that way. Or if you want the character to be facing the camera, like it's walking towards the camera, you would need to change the direction. So see right here, the limb is bending in the direction, opposite direction that, say, I want. So I'd have to go up to the effects control and change that. So I have just a second. Alright, so now that this character is rigged, we need to make sure that the character moves and bends the way that you want it to. So in here, I have to do this. I can't move it from here because my computer is not handling this recorder well. So if you want to move the position of that, and you don't like if the character's arm is too stretchy or stretchy at all, that is something you can change, and you have to go up to effect on the character. So, oh, sorry, effects on the hand. So, as you can see, the controllers have a direction. So it's saying it's going to bend in that direction. You can change this here because it's saying clockwise. So you can have it bend in other direction. So if I change the position, it will bend in the direction I want it to. So I'll check this one, and also if I don't want it to stretch, I can go to stretch, and I can turn that off. So now I can go to the left hand, I can do the same. Alright. So that is bending in that direction. Go up to effects controls, or effect controls, sorry. And that is bending in that direction, so let's see how that goes. Go down to that, go to transform, and you can modify the position. Yep, that is bending in the direction I want it to go. Let's see how the legs are bending. Alright. We'll modify the position. check the next one. Go to transform and position. As you notice, the scale is blocked out because all these other effectors have now taken place. So it blocks the modification from here. Alright, so that bends according to the way I want. And this character looks blurry and very pixely, and that's because it's being rendered at half, so that you can work with it a lot easier and faster for your animations, and then you can finally render the animation. So this will be the end of my tutorial. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comments below, and I will do what I can to help you. So thanks again, and bye.